situation, but we think it's working quite well. We've had a good, profitable, and enjoyable summer together, and we don't anticipate any problems with Mr. Gildersleeve and I working together as co-principals.
What is the need for co-principals?
Well, I think that one thing, we've never had a transition of this type and this magnitude. There is a tremendous amount of work involved, not because this is Carver, but because such a tremendous change is being made and such a large expansion in curriculum and so many things to be worked out. And of course the school is going to be larger than it's been in the past. And I think this definitely is one justification. And I think, as we have said in another interview, that we feel that this gives both the white and the black community someone to identify with, and gives the boys and girls coming here an opportunity to feel like they really belong, no matter who they are, where they went to school last year.
Mr. Gildersleeve, have you had many calls from parents with any questions about what's happening at Carver High School?
Yes, the questions we have been only concerned basically with curriculum, whether or not our course offering would be the same as what they had last year at Lanier, whatever school they came from.
In all honesty, we have been thrilled to death with the reaction of students and parents that have come to us. These people seem to be very happy to be a part of our school community, and we have a real Carver spirit that exists. Of course, this has been in existence among the students that have been here, and those that are coming in seem to want to be a part also, and everybody that we have contact with seems to be pulling to be sure we have a real great school year.
Oh yes, I've had considerable contact with Vice President Ford in many ways, of course in terms of testifying before the Congress, and then after he became Vice President, you're quite right, I have briefed him on many strategic matters. He is well up to date on the international situation, particularly the military balance and things of this kind. He was kind enough to make two speeches incident to my retirement, one at a luncheon and secondly at the retirement ceremony out at Andrews Air Force Base in Washington. And he has written me an extremely nice letter on the occasion of my retirement. And so I think that Vice President Ford is an excellent choice for the presidency. And he, as I said again, has continually dwelt in his speeches with the need to maintain the strength of the United States and the need to maintain the will and determination of the American people. And those are two things, of course, which I have worked on and supported for many, many years. He will do a fine job, in my opinion.
If you could describe President Nixon in one word, what word would you use?
I would have to use two words, as I used a while ago: tough and courageous.
Per pupil expenditure and 38th in teacher salaries. You've had some comments on this, and you don't feel they accurately reflect Alabama's contribution to education.
Well, Bob, you can ask, of course, the State Department of Education. Of course, it's very good to rank 38th, because when I became governor, we were about number 50 in the matter of teacher salaries. Now we're 38th. And after this next session of the legislature, we're going to be even higher than that. But the per pupil expenditure in the country is what they were talking about. But Alabama, and I've just talked to the Assistant Superintendent of Education of the state, Dr. Erskine Murray, we're in the top 3, and he says he thinks we're number 2. We used to be number 1. As far as the percentage of the dollar that comes into the state that goes back to education, we're one of the top 3 in the nation. which is an enviable position to be in. What has happened is that we have not had the local support for public education and the money raised in the local areas as have some states. That has not been all due to the fault of local people. It's just been, of course, maybe the lack of money and the lack of the ability to raise it. But the point is that the state of Alabama ranks in the top 3 in the nation in the percentage of her tax dollar for the education of our children. And that's as far as we can go. The state cannot, of course, control people at the local level because we don't have that authority, and we wouldn't try to do so. I'll be happy to discuss with Dr. Herbert or any other group, and of course he is a responsible executive secretary of the AEA, any request for a special session, but I have no, at this time, before the general election comes up, I'm certainly not thinking about any legislature at this time. But of course he's talking about next year, and of course after the election and after the inauguration, I certainly will be happy to discuss with Dr. Herbert any suggestion that he has to make, and would certainly give consideration any suggestion that he and others would make in this regard.
One final question. What was your reaction to the Supreme Court's decision on the Detroit school busing matter?
Well, I've been against this type of procedure a long time, and I think that people in the country are more against it than they were before.
Do you think this is a major Supreme Court decision, a major breakthrough?
Well, I hope it is, yes.
It is an impeachable offense, the misuse of the Internal Revenue Service against you.
That is the governor of the state. I have never used the Revenue Department to check upon on the taxes or income of anybody that was a political enemy of mine in this state, and I never would do it. Well, when you ask me the legal question, do I feel that the use of the IRS to investigate your so-called enemies and the sending of money to defeat a candidate or help defeat a candidate or try to defeat a candidate in another state is an impeachable offense, you're asking me a question of law, which I cannot answer because I have not made any research on it, and I don't know that there's much law on it. I do think that the abuse of any agency of the government is something that is deplorable, and that you should not use any agency of the government for the purpose of looking at your enemies, so to speak, in such a manner that you want to do them harm. And one reason that I have not commented any more than I have on the question of Watergate is that it might sound prejudicial, in that I was in effect a victim of Watergate, in the sense that, as you know, the money that came to Alabama, which has been pretty well verified, and the fact that the IRS was used, of course, in my case. I think that whether it's impeachable offense, I cannot say, but it's something that I have never done as a governor of a state. Well, Bob, you know, that came up as a result of a press conference that was held in this office on yesterday. And after the press conference was over, and several newsmen were standing around, I just gratuitously said, I hope someday that some commission might find out whether or not he acted alone or in concert with somebody else. As you know, I made it very informally, and yet it has been written up in the news as tied into the Watergate investigation, and that is an innuendo that would be grossly unfair, and I did not make any such statement. The writer was evidently did not hear it correctly and was mistaken about it, but I did make the statement that I hope someday we might find, to my satisfaction, whether he was really a loner or whether or not there was someone else involved, because there are unanswered questions in my mind about how a man could do what he did and get the money to do it with when he'd been unemployed, and when he worked he didn't make any money to speak of, not even hardly a living.
That'll always be a mystery in my mind, and why he kept a diary, never kept one before, and things of that sort.
To attempt to influence Congressman Flowers' vote on the House Judiciary Committee. Has the White House contacted you?
Well, I'll answer that question in this way, as I did yesterday, that if anybody has called me or is thinking about calling me about doing that if they did call me, I would have said it's improper. If they do call me, I will say it's improper. And if you will check with Congressman Flowers, as others have checked, he said that he'd had no hearing from me, nor from Senator Allen. And I think it would be highly improper for the governor of a state to try to influence a member of the committee, and therefore I would not do such a thing. It's certainly not wrong for constituents to write their congressman about the matter, but as the governor of the state, let me say that it would be improper. I haven't done so and will not do so.
But have you been asked by the White House to do so?
Well, let me just say this, that any conversations I've had with people would have been a private, personal conversation. I'll let you ask them about that. I'll just say that if anybody has asked me to do such a thing, I can tell you what my answer was or would be, that it would be improper and I could not do it.
Would you deny that the White House has contacted you?
I will not deny or confirm. I'll just say that I think it would be improper for me to try to influence a congressman, and I would not do it.
Would you have any reason to protect the White House in this case?
No, I don't have any reason to protect anybody except any conversation that anybody has, a private, personal conversation. If you want to ask about a conversation being made, you can ask it till the end. But all I can say is that I have not, nor will I try to influence the congressman at all. And anybody who has called me or would call me, my answer would be that I could not do that. That'd be very improper.
Did call you. Don't you feel that possibly this...
Okay, how many people are running on the Whig Party ticket? Well, we have 11 in the legislature, we have 7 senators, and we have of course, I'm running for lieutenant governor. Mrs. Virginia Morris Davis is running for the Office of Public Service Commission, that's Associate Commissioner. The other candidates haven't shown up yet, and I'm not at liberty to release their names.
Qualified yet, though?
Well, they're here to qualify now, but we're getting some things ironed out because some of them had taken.
Well, you start off the week on Monday night with Cosell, and Tuesday night I believe we have off. But Wednesday night the World Football League will be playing. It'll be on radio, and a lot of us will be listening to it. Thursday night their game of the week is on. So we'll be listening to that on Thursday night, and some high school teams are playing on Thursday night. So that'll be some sort of overlapping. Friday, of course, the colleges and high schools will be overlapping, and there will be some television on Friday night. Saturday, primarily for intercollegiate football. Sunday, you have all kinds of football. You have the Eastern Standard Time game of the week. You have Central Time Zone game of the week. You have the Rocky Mountain game of the week. You have the Pacific Coast that comes on later in the afternoon. Then you have all of the playbacks. And every knucklehead in the coaching profession, including me, has a playback. You can see mine at 5 o'clock out of Montgomery. If you miss that, you can catch it at 10 out of Atlanta. And if you miss that, you can get it out of Dallas the following Wednesday. And then you're right back to Cosell.
I think that the Commission on Higher Education is a necessary and potentially very helpful state organization. I think that people ought to remember that it's really in the first years of its operation, and that it's inevitable that it will grow as the people want it to grow. And I would think that the thing to do is to strengthen and improve the Commission in this early stage. I think it can be a very useful agency for the people of the state as they look at their commitments to higher education.
I got some tickle. No one knew what I was laughing about. Nobody saw it but me. I was selling.
Thank you very much.
Certainly welcome. Having trouble remembering my name.
I don't blame you.
We'll buy it with the understanding that...
I got that little sip of this coffee. Oh. Shift.
How does the Montgomery crowd compare with those places?
Well, we've had lots of people everywhere, but Huntsville had this big mall, and they had police estimated 3,000 people there, but we haven't been placed large enough to accommodate that many.
People treat you any different now that you're Barry Bryant the author than Barry Bryant the coach?
Well, we're waiting out the Notre Dame game to see.
That surprised you?
I think it...
Coach Barsegian returned?
Yeah, it really did. I haven't talked with her since then, but I was in the ABC booth when they interviewed him, and we couldn't communicate with him, but we could hear his voice.
Do you think they're going to probably be down there in the Orange Bowl trying to win one for Era?
I don't know. I'm afraid it's going to be for Era and the Gipper and Rockland and all the ghosts. I hope the ghosts can't block and tackle, though. Let's have some books here.
Coach, the first time Auburn played Texas, you were a month old. The last time they played them, you were, I guess you were playing high school football in Selma. Don't you think
Well,
by the time they played again?
Bill, I had not even gone out for football. I believe that was in 19 what?
25.
Well, I guess I was about a sophomore at Selma High School. It's been a long time.
Don't you think it's time you got back together?
Well, I certainly do. We're looking forward to playing the University of Texas. They are certainly a fine football team, and I think it's been said many times that in the opinion of a lot of people, they're the best team out there. And we think we have a fine football team too, so it should be a great game.
Auburn could easily have won every game they played this year, Coach.
Right.
The resurgence of the offense has to be one of the pleasant things of this year, huh?
Well, it does. As a matter of fact, there was a period during this past season when the offense really carried the football team. I think we're all aware of that. But then the last two ball games, the defense came along, joined the offense. So right now, certainly on the basis of the Georgia game and the Alabama game, Auburn has a fine football team.
Will the Texas Wishbone vary greatly from the Wishbone teams you have seen already this year, Alabama, Georgia Tech?
I would think, Phil, that Texas will approximate Georgia Tech. I would think also that they have a better team and better material. I wouldn't say better coaching because Pepper Rogers has done a great job over at Georgia Tech. I think everyone in the country knows that Darrell Royal does not like the forward pass. He never misses an opportunity to say so. So we think it'll be a run. They want to establish that. And they will stay with the run if they can. But if we take the run away from them, you can always expect that Texas will throw the football.